What does it take to dismantle a state-protected criminal machine in under 2 hours? Start the clock at 4:12 a.m., a captive rescued, heroin seized, tunnel uncovered. By 5:27 a.m., a City Hall suite is forced open and a live ledger shows payouts to officers and inspectors. We'll walk the Synchronized 5-site strike, Westlake Spa, Hollywood Club, Vernon warehouse and more, so you can see how a governor-level network moving heroin, meth and counterfeit fentanyl begins to collapse in real time. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Why 4:12 a.m.? Because the network's handoff window sits between the last cleaning crew sweep and the first courier check-in, and one sealed room inside Site 1 could either feed intelligence to 4 other teams or trigger a cascade of alerts. The address didn't exist on public utility rolls. Power drew through a submeter registered to a dissolved LLC, and trash haulers logged after midnight stops twice a week with no municipal pickup scheduled. The house looked asleep. The ledger said otherwise. Site 1 sat on a gentle slope with a below-grade wing that shouldn't have been warm. Thermal scans showed a hot seam, a narrow band under the main hallway running hotter than ambient. Vent registers blew low when the furnace cycled, but return vents on that wing pulled harder than they should, a sign of hidden volume behind drywall. Sound checks with a simple clap test died flat, no reflection, no echo, like a room wrapped in heavy mass-loaded vinyl. You don't soundproof a pantry. Entry planning split the team. A soft knock and fade might keep devices alive long enough to map chat relays. A hard breach might save a life if a hostage was inside that dead room. Either way, the phone tree across the city could light up if the first door went loud. They set a 2-minute decision point on the threshold. Before steel met wood, technicians gave the walls a look from the inside out. A fiber-optic scope slid through a pinhole behind a baseboard, snaking past stud bays into a void that didn't match architectural plans. Another probe went higher near a junction box. The lens caught adhesive tape over insulation seams and a plastic-wrapped cavity. A handheld spectrometer took a slow read on air pulled from that space. The return showed markers consistent with heroin-cutting agents and packaging residues. The air tasted clean, too clean, like it had been filtered separately from the house system. Moving to the stairwell, a tech noticed a shaved ridge on a trim piece. Under it, a finger-length plate clicked with barely a touch. The plate fed a motion-triggered alert panel tucked behind a vent grill. One camera covered the entry. Another camera pushed a loop, a feed replaying an empty hall. That meant someone inside watched from a different angle, or a handler watched from somewhere else. The call came at the 2-minute mark. Lights down, suppress flash. A ram hit the soundproof panel at shoulder height, where the hinge pins were weakest. On strike 3, the frame failed. The team flowed in, muzzle discipline tight, beams held low. In the near corner, a woman lay shackled at wrist and ankle, lips split, eyes glossy. Medics cut chains, started fluids, and checked for crush injury and dehydration. She nodded to questions, small yes-no, then rasped out a few details once her airway cleared. While medics worked, a second element traced the airflow. A faint draw at a ceiling register didn't match the thermostat cycle. Panel screws held paint on their threads. A rush job. Behind the grill, a false plenum opened, thin-gauge sheet metal, hiding dense packages wrapped in plastic and tape. 6 kilograms. Chemical swabs matched the earlier markers. The packages had been staged for movement. Near the utility closet, a maintenance panel looked new in a hallway that wasn't. Grout lines were too clean. LiDAR mapped negative space behind it. A narrow corridor sloping toward municipal service runs. The panel popped. A short-run tunnel leaned into soil, stabilized with modern foam and mesh, just long enough to bypass a fence line and hit a cable trench. The rescued woman, sipping water, outlined a schedule change. Couriers shifted the last week, later arrivals, quicker exits, and a check-in buzz at the top of the hour that cascaded to other sites. That placed the next handoffs inside the window. With proof of life, narcotics, and a tunnel map, Command greenlit the broader package. 4 doors queued to open in the same hour before the next buzz rolled. How do you hit a spa, a nightclub, a warehouse, and a city hall office without warning any of them? You build a clock. 14 teams move on a common beat, each with a tight roll and a tighter window. FBI leads entries and data capture. ICEHSI takes trafficking victims and routes them to care and interviews. DEA handles narcotics identification and chain of custody. US Marshals stand on custody, perimeter, and high-risk arrests. Command runs a live board with status pings every 6 minutes. No site talks to another. Everyone listens to the same clock. Every location carries a different bite. The Westlake Spa risks a surge of victims in confined confined rooms. The Hollywood Club holds an armed basement where one bad call turns the hallway into a funnel. The Vernon warehouse can swallow half a task force if the pallets break and the forklift dies on a ramp. City Hall adds politics and private security with no badge numbers on the roster. That mix decides the order of touch, rescue, neutralize, seize, then extract data in place while the next door opens. Westlake starts through a rear service corridor lined with detergent boxes and a washing machine that never ran. A thin pry bar walks a latch without noise. Two operators advance with shields. Locks pop on a row of narrow rooms. Women come out in pairs, some barefoot, some clutching robes. Triage stations stand up in the hallway. Vitals, water, blankets, and a quiet corner for interviews. 37 are identified and logged with wrist tags. ICE HSI collects encrypted phones from a cash drawer and a linen cart. Those handsets hold routes and contacts that fill the gaps between pickup points and drop sites. The door closes behind them, lights off, victims loaded into vans that go straight to medical. Across town, the Hollywood Club keeps music running to mask feet on stairs. Bouncers at the basement door carry radios and pistols. Agents stack, announce, and push. Flashbangs roll, white light and pressure taking the fight out of the first two men. The stash is behind a false cooler with a compressor that never hums. 18 kilograms of meth sit in taped bricks. Cash fills 4 duffels with bank straps still on the bundles. The count hits $500,000 on scene. A back office holds 2 encrypted drives that mirror a central node. Those drives carry the same folder structure flagged at Site 1, proof the network syncs the accounts. Vernon's warehouse looks clean on the manifest. Cleaning supplies, aisle numbers, tidy pallets. A blade splits shrink wrap to reveal cartons inside cartons. Counterfeit fentanyl pills spill out in blue stacks. The tally reaches 310,000. A modified forklift hides a sublevel under a false deck, with crates arranged like a maze to shape airflow and throw off dogs. Manifests tie the load to 6 shell company warehouses on known county routes. DEA marks lots, captures batch codes, and locks the scene for hazmat protocols. Money keeps the spine straight, so the off-books casino gets its own net. Count room first, then the office safe. Cash stacks reach $4.1 million. Payout ledgers sit in binders with initials matched to distribution splits. A whiteboard map links percentages to street crews and mid-tier handlers, arrows pointing up chain. That picture tells command where to push next. City Hall needs a classified order. Elevators stall at 20 because 2 private guards hold the hall and won't show an assignment. Negotiation burns minutes. The team moves to tools. At 5:27 a.m. the door gives. The principal goes to the floor, hands bound. On the screen sits a live ledger showing payouts to 14 law enforcement officers, 7 inspectors, and 3 licensing managers. Servers image while handcuffs click. With command nodes seized and the 90-minute window closing, the shield falls and the chase widens into the rest of the state. The clock stopped at 5:27 a.m. The purge runs longer. Watch what falls when the shield is gone.